Hey folks, it's Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. This is the Clarín website, a media outlet of Argentina, and this is a video that has become pretty famous by now. I did post the original video in the modernsurvivalist.com, my website. It's a video of a Canadian tourist with a camera, a helmet, that he's taking a bicycle tour in La Boca, in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. And while he's taking the bicycle tour, he suffers a mugging attempt at gunpoint. There's several interesting things going on here that I think are worth going through and learning from. So the guy is riding the bicycle, and he's going to be coming a motorcycle, almost getting hit by a car. You see that motorcycle there? Car almost hits it. And he intercepts. He tries to intercept the guy in the bicycle. And the guy in the bicycle doesn't even notice the criminal with the gun in the motorcycle there, and continues on. Even laughs a bit for some reason. He brings out the gun again. So you see what's happening. The guy with a gun there, a revolver of some kind, is asking for his backpack, la mochila. The Canadian guy doesn't seem to understand what's being asked of him, and keeps repeating amigo, friend, as if that's going to be helping him in any way. The bike? No, he doesn't want the bike. He wants a backpack. It's funny that the criminal says at one point, "Do you want to get shot?" He says, "Do you want to get shot?" He doesn't seem to understand that the Canadian guy isn't understanding. So the Canadian guy leaves the bicycle, and you see how he's getting chased? Keeps asking for the backpack, looks around, sees This is where you get shot if you don't do what he's saying. He tells him to go, but he tries again, sees someone coming, approaching, and he takes off. You know, there's an interesting thing here.
Yeah, I gotta get him to him.
You know, he's chased like that. Notice all this is happening in the middle of the day, broad daylight, cars all over, people walking, in the middle of the bicycle tour. There's a guy here and a couple more there, and this guy doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care. He's just bringing out the gun, asking for the backpack. He looks around a little bit. You see how he looks around to see if there's too much people gathering, getting closer? The Canadian guy panics. You know, this is where you get shot. You cannot do this kind of thing. If someone is pointing a gun at you and asking for the backpack, you give it to him. You don't fool around with that. People get shot, people get killed in Argentina because of this kind of stuff all day long. And yeah, sure, if you have a gun, you're able to do something. Maybe if you have a gun, your initial reaction would have been to use it when you see the guy intercepting you with a backpack, with a motorcycle at this point. Let's go back a little bit. If you have a gun and you see this guy approaching like that, here is where you bring out your gun and you start shooting before he gets his. Right? You have a couple seconds there. If you're armed, if you're with a concealed carry weapon, that's when you bring out your gun, and that's when you shoot him as soon as you see his. All right. As soon as you have a guy intercepting you with a motorcycle, that's when you bring out your gun, and that's when you gun him down. Why motorcycles? Another interesting point. Motorcycles are used a lot by criminals in places like Argentina and in other countries for several reasons. They're fast, of course. They're easy for moving around, navigating. With a motorcycle, it's very easy to get on the sidewalk and mug someone and take off very fast. With a car, it's not as practical. With a motorcycle, you just get over on the sidewalk with the motorcycle I've seen this happen. You mug someone with a motorcycle and they take off. Then if you're being chased by the police, it's easier to avoid them getting through traffic with a motorcycle, and you're wearing a helmet. It's not suspicious seeing someone in a... This criminal does have his helmet, as you see it here. Let's go back. Right. Almost run over. Lots of accidents. You see the helmet? He has the helmet because as soon as he's over with a crime, he's going to be putting on the helmet, and it's not going to be as easy for anyone else to recognize him. And cameras are not going to be recording his face. Unfortunately, in this case, the GoPro camera caught everything. Yeah, Canadian guy doesn't really understand how serious all this is. I mean, he should have been shot several times by now. You know, don't go to dangerous countries if you don't know the language. Another good point, dangerous parts of the world, third world countries, you need to know the language if you have, I mean, if you're going to be there for any period of time. Especially, you know, places like these, not knowing the language can get you killed. And this is the perfect example of that. It's serious business. Guy panicking. You see that when there's a moment there where he says, "Okay, go, go, go." He looks around, and then he tells him to go, take off, take off. And then he tries again. Why did he say that? Because he's looking around and he sees that some people start approaching, all right? And this has been going on for more time than he feels comfortable with, all right? He does this in the middle of the day, in broad daylight, surrounded by people, but it's taking too long. So he tells him to go off, to take off. But when he sees people hesitate, he comes back at it. Then he sees this guy approaching again, and that's pretty much it. They all take off. This Canadian guy finally starts running away and is fortunate to be alive at this point. Guys, this is happening in La Boca. La Boca is one of the touristy destinations of Buenos Aires. Anyone in Buenos Aires is going to be visiting, anyone taking a tour in Buenos Aires, like this bicycle tour, this is a tour guide, is going to be visiting La Boca. La Boca is not the most dangerous place of Argentina by any means. In fact, you see, you know, people gathering here, they actually, you know, this is the tourist guide. She has a little fleece there with logo of the company or whatnot. Notice on the windows, bars or curtains, burglars bars. These are all things that you see the bars there. This is how you live in a place like Argentina because of the high levels of crime all over the country. So the tourist guide finds a cop. You know, she knew exactly that she would be finding a cop nearby. That's the police officer. Okay, and this is pretty much it. You have police officers all over the capital district of Buenos Aires. You have police officers all over La Boca, Caminito. Caminito is the place where tourists go. And you have cops in every corner. In spite of having cops in every corner, criminals still feel comfortable enough to attack people in broad daylight surrounded by people. This happens in Argentina all day long. I mean, I've seen this happen dozens of times. People right next to you or across the street and getting mugged like that. This is how you live. And in spite of that, in spite of having police officers all over the place, this kind of thing still happens. Keep in mind that the government tries to keep these places where tourists go safe. This isn't a good portrait of how dangerous Argentina is really. Argentina is much more dangerous than this. It's much more worse than this. Probably in some other place you would have been shot for reacting that way when being mugged. All right, it's a different world, guys. It's a different reality that you live in Argentina. In the suburbs, it's so much worse than this. This is nothing in comparison. All right, this is nothing in comparison to how bad it is. You have to understand that you live. This Canadian guy doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that he almost died there. He doesn't understand how serious a business it is to get shot. He clearly doesn't get it. When you live like this your entire life, when you live like this for years, when your kids cannot ride a bicycle safely on the streets because pretty much guaranteed of being mugged, when you cannot have the freedom of buying a nice car because you're going to be getting carjacked, when you cannot have a nice cell phone because it's going to be attracting criminals. Criminals are on the streets of Argentina all day long. It's plagued by crime. That's how you live in a place like that. It's no joke. It's not pleasant, and at least for me, it wasn't a place. It wasn't a way of living. But you do learn a lot of how to stay safe in high crime areas by living in such a place. Folks, if you're interested of learning more about survival in Argentina, my first book, The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, a link somewhere there below, has of course a lot more information of how you live in this kind of environment, how you live in a very dangerous, high risk place, besides of course dealing with very high inflation and corruption all around. Final little strawberry on the cake type of thing, that criminal that you just saw, he was identified, of course, because of this obvious video, and people called the police, probably knew where he lived and all. So he got detained, he got arrested, but he only got booked and he was released that same day. That guy that you saw there with a gun trying to mug this tourist, he's already walking on the streets. He was booked and released that same day. Why? Because that's what life is in Argentina. All right, an armed criminal even got caught on tape. Even when arrested, he's just booked and released. That's the official stance of the Argentine government, is that there's not a crime problem. The government of Argentina says there's not a serious crime problem, that it's a sensation, so they just release them right away. It's not the official stance to arrest people in spite of what they do. Folks, that's all for now. Remember to subscribe and take care. Have a great day. See you on our next video.